Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
Hey all, welcome back to the Real Life Pharmacology podcast. I'm your host, pharmacist Eric Christensen, and I thank you for listening today. As always, go check out reallifepharmacology.com. Go snag your 31-page PDF on the top 200 drugs. Fantastic study guide, refresher, whether you're in school or practicing out in the real world. Definitely a great resource to have where I poured a little time into it and tried to highlight some of the most highly testable things as far as board exams go, as well as some of the most relevant things that actually occur in clinical practice. So go snag that for free simply for subscribing at reallifepharmacology.com. All right, so let's get into the drug of the day today, and that is Glyburide. Brand name is Diabeta, and this is an anti-diabetic agent, more specifically a sulfonylurea. So if you remember back to the glipizide episode, this drug is in the same class. Glyburide is in the same class, so which can be a potential error, which I have seen Glyburide and glipizide get mixed up because they do sound alike, they look alike, their dosing is in the range of each other as well, and they are both sulfonylureas, which stimulate that release of insulin. Dosing, I've seen 1.25 milligrams, up to in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 milligrams a day. It is a drug that I don't see very often anymore, and there's a few reasons for that, and we'll kind of get into it. But anyway, as a class as a whole, sulfonylureas have definitely gotten less and less popular due to their effects of hypoglycemia, as well as weight gain. So a couple negatives there going for them, but some of the newer class agents have better cardiovascular outcomes, less hypoglycemia risk, less weight gain, and so sulfonylureas, Glyburide have definitely kind of fallen down the list. So as I was saying, I don't see many new starts for this medication. Typically, the patient that I'm going to see that's on Glyburide has probably been on it for years and years and years, and their A1C is okay, or maybe at goal at 7, or whatever the patient's goal is. So, why isn't this med used? I mentioned hypoglycemia risk, and particularly it can cause really prolonged hypoglycemia, and particularly in the patient population that I work with mostly, and that's geriatric patients. There's some active metabolites and things like that can kind of hang around, especially as we get older. Our body doesn't clear things as quickly typically, and so that can ultimately lead to more drug activity for a longer period of time, and if we run into a hypoglycemia situation, obviously that can prolong it and obviously make that an issue. Administration generally recommended to do with meals and consistently. I have seen twice daily dosing with Glyburide. Oftentimes it's just dose once a day. Usually, if it's going to be split up, usually it's because we're getting to higher and higher doses, of course, there. Adverse effect profile, so certainly the hypoglycemia, the weight gain. There is rare potential for sulfa cross-reactivity. If a patient has a true, sulfa allergy to a sulfa antibiotic, that cross-reactivity risk is actually pretty low, at least according to some of the literature there. Here again, the odds that you're going to want to start a sulfonylurea and particularly Glyburide in a patient is going to be pretty low. You're likely going to probably encounter patients that are already on it versus wanting to start it in a new patient. But should the occasion arise that you need to start it, definitely if you see that sulfa allergy, you probably should at least stop and think and assess what that allergy was in the past and what drug and or drugs that allergy was occurring from, and then go from there with kind of your clinical assessment and judgment. Obviously, if it wasn't a true allergy, it was, stomach upset or whatever, that's probably not going to be an issue in starting a drug like Glyburide. So I mentioned the kinetics a little bit. I alluded to it. So there are active metabolites. This drug is on the Beers list. So that's, again, drugs to avoid in the elderly. And those active metabolites can hang around, linger, and obviously cause issues as far as hypoglycemia. Poor renal function can also potentially play a role, as it is cleared some by the kidney there as well. All right, so let's take a quick break from our sponsor, and we'll wrap up with drug interactions. If you're in the market for pharmacist board certification study material like NAPLEX, BCPS, ambulatory care, geriatrics, MTM, or the psychiatry certification, definitely go check out meded101.com/store, S-T-O-R-E. In addition, if you're a nurse practitioner, med student, or other healthcare professional that needs to learn about pharmacology, got lots of different resources available on Amazon and Audible books, case studies, drug interactions, all sorts of different stuff there. So lots of goodies, and all those links are at meded101.com/store, S-T-O-R-E. All right, finishing up on drug interactions. So first, Glyburide is partly broken down by CYP2C9. So, a relatively, potent 2C9 inhibitor like fluconazole can potentially raise concentrations of Glyburide. Another thing to think about is adding on other blood sugar lowering medications. So if we've got, if we're adding a diabetic agent, onto Glyburide, we're going to potentially run into further lowering of that blood sugar, which is expected, but it may have an exacerbated effect if we're taking a sulfonylurea like Glyburide already. Rifampin, enzyme inducer, may actually lower concentrations of a drug like Glyburide. And then, of course, we got to think about drugs that potentially raise blood sugar, too, that may kind of counteract the effects of Glyburide. So classic example being corticosteroids there. And then one last unique one that I can't say I've seen it come up in clinical practice, but I have seen it reported anyway. Alcohol, doing alcohol with Glyburide, there have been reported disulfiram reactions. So that might be something to really caution your patients on, or at least give them a little bit of heads up to pay attention with any alcohol consumption with this medication. But again, I think the evidence on that is kind of a little bit sketchy. But again, there have been reports in the literature from that as well. So, all right, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed this podcast episode or the podcast in general, leave a rating, review on iTunes or whatever your platform you're listening. Go support the sponsor, meded101.com/store. Any purchases there directly help keep this podcast supported and going, of course, because we want to try to educate as many future healthcare professionals and active healthcare professionals as we possibly can there. Questions, comments for me, you can reach out, Eric Christensen, PharmD, BCGP, BCPS on LinkedIn, or you can track me down at mededucation101@gmail.com. All right, I'm going to sign off for today. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.